In this video, we're going to look at how can we show key concepts like scarcity, opportunity costs, and efficiency on a graph. Students will be able to draw and analyze a production possibility curve, use the PPC to explain trade-offs, opportunity costs, growth, and efficiency, explain how investment in equipment and technology can lead to economic growth, explain how investments in human capital, such as education, job training, and healthcare, can lead to a higher standard of living, and define productivity. Our first graph is going to be called the production possibility curve. Sometimes it's also referred to as the production possibility frontier. So what is the production possibility curve? A production possibility curve is a model that shows alternative ways that an economy can use its scarce resources. This model graphically demonstrates scarcity, trade-offs, opportunity costs, and efficiency. There are four key assumptions. Only two goods can be produced. All resources are being used efficiently. All resources are fixed, and technology is fixed. So here's a production possibility table for bikes and computers. Each point represents a specific combination of goods that can be produced given full employment of resources. So I want you to graph it. Put bikes on the y-axis and computers on the x-axis. So your graph should look like this. How does the PPC graphically demonstrate scarcity, trade-offs, opportunity costs, and efficiency? Anything within the PPC is referred to as inefficient. So an example could be unemployment. Anything on the line or the curve is an efficient use of resources. And anything out here is unattainable. So you do not have the resources to get you out here. So let's look at an example. We want to calculate what the opportunity cost is of moving from point A to point B. So if we want to get from point A to point B, you're going to have to give up making bicycles if you want to make more computers. And the same thing with all of these other points. So if we want to get from A to B, we have to give up 2 bikes. B to D, we would have to give up 7 bikes. D to B, we'd have to give up computers, so 4 computers. F to C, we would give up 0 computers to get to that point. And what can you say about point G? Point G is unattainable given the resources that are available. So look at this production possibilities for calzones and pizza and list the opportunity costs of moving from A to B, from B to C, and from D to E. So what are you giving up? When you move from A to B, you're giving up 1 calzone in order to increase and devote resources to pizza. From moving to B to C, you would be giving up 1 calzone to increase your production of 1 more pizza. So a constant opportunity cost means resources are easily adaptable for producing either good. Result would be a straight line production possibility curve, and it's not very common. So list the opportunity costs of moving from A to B, B to C, C to D, and D to E. So if we move from A to B here, we're giving up 1 pizza to get a robot. If we move from B to C, we're giving up 3 pizzas to get 1 more robot. C to D, you're giving up now 6 pizzas to get 1 more robot, and so on. So this would be represent the law of increasing opportunity costs. As you produce more of any good, the opportunity cost or the foregone production of another good is going to increase. And why does this happen? Because resources are not easily adaptable to producing both goods. So the result would be the PPC is bowed out, or in mathematical terms, that would be convex. So this graph on the left represents a straight line PPC with constant opportunity cost, and this graph represents increasing opportunity costs because it's bowed out, shifting the production possibility curve. What if there are more resources? There are three things that can shift the PPC. If you have a change in resource quantity or quality, if you have a change in technology, if you have a change in trade, which allows more consumption. So if you have here, looking at this example of pizzas and computers, what happens if there's an increase in physical capital? So physical capital refers to something like equipment. So if you have an increase in physical capital, the PPC is actually going to shift outward. Are you productive? What does a productive school day look like to you? What would cause your productivity to increase? What would decrease your productivity? In most cases, what's the relationship between your productivity and your income? Why do you think that would be? So if we define productivity, productivity is defined as a measure of production that shows the number of outputs per unit of input. So if Bob can make 10 pizzas in an hour, Stan can make 5 pizzas in 1 hour, Bob is clearly more productive. Why do businesses and countries want to improve their productivity? Since all resources are scarce, improving productivity allows us to produce more stuff with fewer resources. What leads to more future output? Investment in physical capital like equipment, machines, tools, and factories. Investment in public goods like schools and roads, and this is referred to as infrastructure. Investment in research and development, sometimes abbreviated and called R&D, technological improvements that promote innovation, investment in human capital like education, job training, and healthcare, and rule and laws that promote stability. So here's an example of two different countries. Panama is focusing on consumer goods, so things that you and I would consume. Mexico is favoring capital goods, so machinery, factories. So by focusing more on capital goods, the future growth of Mexico potentially could grow faster than Panama. So countries that invest in physical and human capital will have more growth in the future. Countries with free markets, property rights, and the rule of law have historically seen greater economic growth because they're more productive. So the picture on the left would represent a third world country, less developed, primitive assets, and the picture on the right is a much more developed country. So pause the video and draw a PPC showing changes for each of the following different scenarios. So if there's new computer technology, there would be a shift for only computers. So the PPC would shift out, showing that there is more computer technology. If there's a decrease in the demand for pizza, we don't want to eat pizza anymore, the curve, the PPC is not going to shift just because we prefer less pizzas. We still have the resources to make the pizzas, so we might actually make more computers, but the curve is not going to shift. If there's a disease that's killing cows, then the PPC potentially could shift inward. And that would affect pizzas because we need milk or dairy products to produce the cheese that you're going to need to put on the pizza. So the PPC on the axis that affect pizzas would shift inward. If there's a destruction of power plants, that would be a decrease in resources, which would equal a decrease in production possibilities for both consumer and capital goods. So the entire curve then would shift, not just one part of the curve like in the previous examples. If we have faster computer hardware, the quality of a resource would improve, shifting the curve outward. So the entire curve is going to shift outward. If we have many workers that are unemployed, the curve isn't going to shift. Unemployment would be shown instead as a point inside the curve to represent this inefficiency. Significant increases in education. The quality of labor is improved, so that would mean or equate to more resources, so the curve would shift outward.